Ah, so you come here to hear my thoughts on this episode. Well, my dear viewer, for those of you who just joined us, I will keep it brief and get straight to the point. You're about to hear a Star Wars nerd who really loves Star Wars, who values it in kind of a cornerstone of how they grew up, who uses it on rough days, on good days, for inspiration when they're having a bad time. Or maybe they're brainstorming something D&D related for his buddies. Or maybe he just needs a laugh. I'm only bringing this part up just because there's this loud conversation going on with this show that apparently Star Wars is dead. To those who believe this, oh. You need to fix your helmets. Star Wars has been more alive than ever. In fact, the fact that the fandom is being so loud about how bad this show is should be proof enough that Star Wars is not dead. If you think Star Wars is dead, go on your merry way and ask a Star Trek fan about Nemesis. Or maybe not a Star Trek fan. Go to a fan of Warhammer 40k and ask them about female custodians. Or anybody who plays Dungeons and Dragons about the OGL scandal. What do all those have in common? After those hard moments those franchises went through, they're still standing. Yeah, the fans are annoyed. Yeah, the fans are a lot more critical about what type of media their favorite thing is going to be, what it's turning into. Star Wars is no different. It will survive this. Will there be more bad shows after Acolyte? Hopefully not. But there's always a possibility. For every Andor we're going to get an Obi-Wan. For every prequel trilogy, we're going to have the sequel trilogy. Alright? So all the Star Wars fans watching along with this, watching along with yourself, your friends and such like that, who are kind of in doubts, kind of confused, breathe. Star Wars ain't dead. It's a rough patch right now. It'll get better, okay? You want to feel better? Do what I'm doing. And others are doing. Sound off when you don't like a show. That's messing up things, all right? How do you do that? Keep watching. Now, on to the train wreck, which is Star Wars Acolyte, Episode 3. So, we start out this episode in a very pretty forest, and we see a younger version of one of the twins just sitting there seeming to play with her powers with this little butterfly alien thing. And she seems to be using the force or the energy that witches have to kind of catch and release the little cool alien butterfly. Not for long, just a little catch, then a little release, then a little catch, then a little release. Which is okay and pretty innocent as such. The other sister, May, comes on in. Oshi, where are you? Oh, there you are. Osha, or Oshi, just looks at her sister. Oh, how did you find me? Well, I always find you here when I can't find you. Oh, okay. And then we see May also try to do a little catch and release of the alien butterfly too, but she's a little bit more forceful and holds it on for so long. Osha calls her out on this, like, no, stop it. What are you doing? Stop it. As she hears her sister's pleas after holding the alien butterfly a little bit longer than it's implied that she needs to, she lets it go. Why do you have to always be like this? Why do you have to always be like this? Oshi, what are you doing here? What's wrong? I don't want to do the ceremony. I don't want to do the ascension. Now, the ascension, as is implied, is a kind of rite of trial passage or coming of age passage that both twins are going to be going to. And that is the main conflict of this episode. Now, May seems to be all for it. Osha, on the other hand, wants absolutely nothing at all to do with this. And we see this, and when I first saw this part of the episode, I was like, okay, good. No, this is some needed meat and context between both characters, you know? Hopefully we get to see a little more justification. And maybe we might be able to see the witches' side in argument why the Jedi are so bad, and why they, the Coven of the Witches, is so cool and better. Oh, naive me. My poor, naive self. I have some bad news for you. That doesn't happen during this episode. So, the twins decide to leave the tree and head back to their home. Now, keep in mind, before we see their actual home, it's implied that it's a village. And it's kind of, and the small little flashback we have where we know there's a big fire that happened to the home. I was kind of thinking, okay, small little village, kind of huts here and there. But, no. It's something completely different, actually. And I'm still a little bit torn on the structure of this thing. One lady finds them and scolds them. Mother Coral is her name. She's a Zabrak, or basically Darth Maul's folk. And she kind of scolds them, saying, "Oh, what are you two doing out here? It's very dangerous." "Oh, but we're okay. I don't care. It's too dangerous. Come on, we got to go home now." I don't know why she sounded like Mickey there, but if that makes you giggle, good. You probably needed it. So, as she escorts the two twins home, we see a de-aged and slightly younger looking soul kind of poking his head by one of the trees. Don't worry, he'll come back later. Then we cut to their home village. Well, it's not really a village, it's a mountain with a fort. Which is and I'm not talking about, one stone block and another stone block, boom, it's a fort. No, we're talking about a really badass looking mountain and a really cool kind of dam-like structure in between the two mountain peaks. Why did they call it a village in the earlier episodes, though? I think there's some little disconnect between one writer group and another. It's like, oh, they grew up in a fort. Oh, no, they grew up in a village. Okay, pick one. Just pick one and be consistent with it, please. Okay, it'll save us nerds giving you consistency negatives. All right. But okay, small little negative I'm throwing on the show. Seems pretty innocent negative at first, right? So as they enter their little fort village, they see one of the ladies have a bag of sweets. And like, oh, cool, can we have some sweets? Mother Coral, no, you broke the rules. Ladies who broke the rules should be punished, not rewarded. Then their actual mother comes on in. Now, their actual mother, yeah, she's actually pretty cool in terms of how she's written and how the actress plays her. Okay, also, side note, all the actors, I am very impressed with how they are handling how bad of a writing script that they are handed. Alright, so if any of the actors that are a part of this project in the future see this video series, y'all did a good job. I hope you do I hope you go into more successful projects in the future. Oh, what about the writers and the director? Don't worry, I'll have a video specifically for you if you watch that in the future. Anyway, saving that rant for that video, we're going back to this episode. So their actual mother walks on in, and it's like, no, let them have it. Let the kids eat their treats. Oh, but mother, they left the fort. They should be punished. Yeah, but my sweet little daughters should have sweet little treats. Go ahead, get your little treats, and I'll see you guys for your training later. Okay? Coral and the main mother go to the side and have a little chit-chat with each other about the twins. Coral, Mother Anastasia, my apologies. Mother Anastasia is their actual mother. So Coral and Anastasia have a little chit-chat with each other. Because Coral's like, okay, you are the main leader of the coven, and I do bow and go by what you say, but you are way too lenient on these little ones. Oh, calm down, Coral. Everything's fine. Were they caught? Well, no, not yet. Okay, so they're not caught, and this planet is still perfect for a coven. It's not going to be perfect if they keep on leaving the fort. You're worried. They're kids. It's going to be okay. Honest. All right? Trust me on this. Okay? Fine. I'm still not happy. Yes, I know. But let's cut to the actual next scene. Okay. So they cut to the actual next scene. The next scene is Mother Anastasia trying to show the twins the witch's version of the Force. They really don't call it Force. They say others call it Force, but Anastasia describes it as there is this thread that connects everything, you know? Pluck it or pull it. Things change. Now again, me being hopeful for Star Wars was seeing this like, okay, this is kind of an interesting take on what we think of the Force is. You know, this is really good kind of world building to hear this sect of witches kind of show and explain their tempering of the magic energy of the Force. Also, I think this is the first actual canon time we've seen on screen an actual Force adjacent power that's not given the title of the Force, but thread. So throughout the series, until I see this show give it another term, I'm going to be referring to it as Thread Force. Which, because of how detailed, with how much time they go into, describing everything kind of like with a thread, I figured Thread Force would be a appropriate title for it. Also, the more I thought about this little monologue about how their version of the Force works, I would be very terrified if this woman walked on in with a ball of yarn. Just saying. Like, she walks in with a ball of yarn, just listen to what she says. Okay, just listen to what she says. Okay, just let her have her way. Trust me, that's some magic and lingo I do not want to mess around with. Now, back to the episode. As she's explaining how their version of the Force works, both twins are barely paying attention. Yes. Typical sibling kind of argument kind of happens between the two over, oddly enough, an apple. And then one saying, Poke, hey, pay attention. I am paying attention. Stop distracting me. Hey, pay attention. I am paying attention. Stop distracting me. That kind of little gag. And Mother Anastasia is still going on talking about, the Force is like a thread magic noises, turning her back to both of her daughters who are having this little argument with an apple. As her back is turned to both daughters, arguing over an apple and paying attention, she has a kind of a show of showing how the Thread Force works. 1-to-1, she brings up the power of one. One of the ladies in the group. Oh yeah, by the way, this entire place is inhabited by women. Figured I'd let you guys know that. So, witch coven. Okay, that tracks. That's pretty cool, you know. The first one comes up to her. The power of one, they say. And there's kind of a little Force pull contest kind of thing between the two. And when we see Mother Anastasia put a little bit more power into her Thread Force, the one lady that went up to kind of spar with her, if you could call it that, kind of gets knocked down. Anastasia still hasn't turned to both twins, says, and now see the power of two. As two more ladies come up and they do similar little Force sparring bit there. Now, Anastasia actually does have a little more tough time trying to knock over the other two women, and we actually get to see that, which is, I'm going to give a point to the show. It's like, okay, she is trying to show the limits of one's control over this Thread Force. Okay, cool. It's not a bunch of mystic mumble jumble that, boom, all your life's problems can be solved. No, you actually are going to run into things that are going to make it harder for you to do what you want to do with it, which is good. Which, to be honest, that kind of does track with everything we've seen the Jedi try to teach about the Force in the movies and other media. Okay, another slightly good world-building point there. A little bit strange, yes, but nothing I'm going to be throwing nails at yet. And as she turns to both daughters after the whole 1v2 bit, both twins are arguing. Like, instead of doing the whole quiet, knock it off. No, you knock it off. You knock it off. No, these twins are full on. No, they're doing the whole claws bit. There's kind of a wrestling match about to start. And the mother is just like, okay, here we go. Hey, knock it off. Well, what she really says is kind of a good line to teach the kids, which is, your enemies will not warn you before they attack. No, she didn't do the whole Kamehameha bit, it kind of is a Kamehameha motion, but it knocks both twins down, ending their fight. And then she looks at the twins like, okay, come on, get back up, and now, block me. And then she does a little thread force spar with the twins, or more realistically, she does it with one of her daughters, May. Osha hides behind May, and May actually puts up a pretty good fight against her mother's thread push. So, again, that's actually good little world building storytelling that the episode has given us. Like, okay, the daughter who is actually kind of more hyped for this ascension she's going to be able to actually repel her mother. Having the sister hide behind her is also good, but not. Especially if the mother wants to do a ceremony that is supposed to essentially give both of these girls more power and kind of make it a coming of age ceremony. When the contest and the mother just kind of pushes a little bit more, and Maya does really decently holding back her mother, Anastasia stops. Oh, very good, very good. And Coral, who is watching all this, barks at Osha. Osha, I expect more of you, young lady. And so we then cut to the twins' room, as Anastasia is talking to both girls, and she notices how hesitant Osha is with this whole thing. So she asks Osha, okay, Osha, what's going on? You seem a little bit nervous. May, being the, I guess, pushy, over-energetic sister, just spills the beans. Like, yeah, she's nervous for the trial. May, just let your sister talk. She needs to answer this question. Osha, what's going on? I don't want to do the ascension. I don't want to become a witch. May, of course you do. It'll be good for both of us. It's what we've been wanting. No, it's what you want. Anastasia tries to kind of calm down both girls, and how she says it doesn't help her argument, actually. It still makes her and this whole witch thing sound a lot more culty than the Jedi, which does not really help the show, since the show, if you listen to the behind the scenes noise, which we'll get to that, is trying to show kind of a darker side of the Jedi, which, okay, it could be cool if performed well. Again, we'll get to that later. She essentially says to both girls, okay, Osha, you're young, you're curious, you think you want to know more, you think you want to get out, but here's the thing, the galaxy doesn't welcome us women with our powers. Like, it's hard out there. It's good you stay in the coven, and this ascension will actually help you. Now, and you two are both special. I want you two to stay special. Say to each other you love each other. Okay, good. Alright, it's going to be okay. That's essentially how she talks to both girls. Which, you see why it's more of a toughen up kid, get over it, versus a, well, you know what, it's totally understandable at your age. Now, keep in mind, it's not really clearly stated, but both of these twins, they look about 8, maybe, basically, if not episode 1 Anakin, then maybe a little bit younger. It's hard to tell. They don't actually say the kids' ages. So, a kid kind of freaking out to step into a ceremony at that scale, getting told that by an adult, it just still sends a bit of a more creepy, get over it, you're in the cult now, you'll be one of us, you'll definitely be one of us, you'll enjoy it whether you like it or not, kind of a feeling, which, again, it really doesn't help the show try to paint the Jedi as kind of the more gray, bad guy kind of thing. Then again, this whole flashback is from Osha's view, plainly, which isn't really helping answer questions about the Jedi. It's answering a lot more questions about the witch cult that she grew up in, to be completely honest, and it's not painting the cult in an exactly good light. More in the one of us, you will enjoy it or not kind of thing, which it feels like that was not the intention, but with how it was executed, that's what's coming off, and that's why some of the fan backlash y'all at home are probably hearing about how these witches are being written and portrayed aren't really that good. So, yes, that's me throwing negative points at the show. So, we cut to the twins kind of getting ready later on that evening. And while their hair is being done up, May is trying to kind of make small little chit-chat talk with her sister. Oh, how many green puffs do you think? I think you'll eat. I think I'll eat this many. What are you doing? Osha is, as her hair is being done, it's like, no, leave me alone. I'm drawing stuff. Don't look. And then both sisters kind of have another argument conversation. Again, it's basically Osha saying, you know what, May, do you ever think there's actually more out there? I mean, instead of just trapped here, what if we could, get off planet and see the galaxy, see the stars? May, why? I have everything I need here. Right here is perfect. We're treated well. We get plenty of food. Osha, yeah, but there's one little thing. We're the only kids here in this whole fort thing. Yeah, but we're going to be witches. It's going to be what we both want. No, again, it's what you want. Not what I want. I still don't want this. You're being scared. It'll be fine. Now, what's funny, when Osha drops the line of they're the only two kids here, the two handmaidens, servants, the two ladies helping them helping get their hair nice and pretty and stuff, stop what they're doing and look at each other for a brief moment. Like, yeah, no, that you can definitely tell that stung both of them. But the show must go on. There is no verbal reaction from both of the ladies helping both girls to get their hair done properly. Maybe it would have been actually a good moment for one of them to speak up, like, well, young mistress, maybe there is a reason for this, and so on and so forth. Again, try to comfort both girls. But again, since the show really seems to want to write the witches as more of a hardcore cult, it's not really helping their cause. Now, the ceremony scene. Now, one pro I'm going to give the ceremony scene, the music actually kind of fits. I mean, I am a sucker for the shamanic kind of ambience, ritualistic music, mostly because that gets my fantasy head going. It's like, oh, cool, this will be like a good music setting for like a little vision with the gods, or like a meditation scene, or something of that nature. And there's this kind of little song and dance that the witch cult do, where they bring up the lines, the power of one, the power of two, the power of one, the power of two, over and over again. Kind of a shamanic bit. And Mother ought to say it, at the beginning of this scene, I'm not sure if this was the intention of the director, it may have been the actress, but she kind of starts walking in there like it's her own Beyonce video, walking on up. I mean, costume looks good, she looks good, it's clear that she's the head boss, so the head boss is going to be a little bit prideful and confident, but again, she's walking in like it's her own Shakira video, and the rest of the song's about to kick off right behind her. But again, I'm not sure if that was the actual intention or it was, and that was just the actress being like, you know what, no, I'm the head honcho, let's have a little fun with this. So I'm going to throw a positive and a negative on that scene just for that, okay? That did give me a good little giggle. If that scene was supposed to be taken, oh wow, big girl boss moment, let's go, kind of serious bit, it didn't. I'm sorry, it really didn't. Or I could just be an asshole about it. It could be that too. But I am a Star Wars fan, and I'm a Star Wars fan that's not going to sugarcoat the rest of this show for the rest of the episodes I'm going to be covering. So, get used to that, Disney. Anyway, the music is pretty good, and as she gets to kind of the edge of where the group of the ladies are gathered, she does this monologue explaining her history. Speaking of monologues, if you want to see my attempt at acting, I have a series of monologues in a playlist. If you want to see how good or how bad of an actor I am, if you are a fellow thespian, I'd really appreciate if you would comment while I'm doing good or while I'm fucking up on. So, self-plug aside, back to Star Wars. In the monologue, she's explaining they were hunted, they were shunned, they were forced to flee into this small little corner of themselves for the galaxy, just to live, just to be witches and do witch things, you know? And in the monologue, she brings up a line, and then we were gifted with the gift of life! And if you've almost heard Lion King music, you're not the only one who almost heard that when I say it, because as she said, the gift of life! I'm expecting more of a choir chant of, Savannah! But again, that could just me being an asshole. Both twins kind of walk on up. Maya is confident, happy to be there, she's ready to go, and Osha is basically hiding behind May and wanting to look like she wants to get out of there as much as possible. And, which is, again, kind of should be a clear indication to the rest of the witches, at least the head mother, that's like, you know what, maybe save the ceremony for when Osha's actually older or more accepted of this, you know, or just maybe take her at her words, like, alright, you don't want to be a witch, it's cool, okay, you could be witch assistant or witch adjacent, because we're all witches here, you know, you or again, this could have been a good moment for her to be an actual comforting mother, but again, any opportunity that comes up, it kind of does hurt the character, and if it sounds like I like this character, I do. That's the problem I'm having with this. Because as much as I love this setup, as much as I love the idea of actually seeing more depth into the Jedi and Force witches, which is an actual thing, it's barely touched on up until this point. Because up until this point in the lore, the closest thing we've seen to witches being focused on was Dathomir. And that was during the Clone Wars, alright? And this is supposed to take place way before Episode 1. So, sorry, the engine almost started. Okay. My point is, I wanted her to be a better character, okay? Back to the ceremony. And because of how she applies the line, and we were given the gift of life, up until this point in the episode, we don't know the actual origin of both twins. Whether they're adopted, whether they had like a father somewhere and such like that, which, oh, don't worry! If you're wondering about that, this episode does a great job of answering. Sorry, that's the engine. That's the Star Wars engine in me kicking up right now. I might be getting louder in this video than others. The ceremony is actually pretty cool. There's some really cool interpretive dance bit that the rest of the ladies do. The power of one, the power of two, the power of one, the power of two. They're basically doing a whole kumbaya thing going on with both twins. And these effects of them kind of using the thread force in the ceremony is actually shown pretty well. So props to the special effects team, you know, and which is kind of expected in most Star Wars episodes or such. And especially since this show actually had a lot more money than Obi-Wan and other live action shows that they needed the budget more. It seems we see more of where they invested in that development in the special effects for this little whole ceremony scene, because we actually get to see a string from Anastasia's hand form into a ball around her hand. And of course, the two moons that we see all the time in the Acolyte showing, it is actually seen in the back sky, almost kind of like a little eclipse thing going on, which again, really cool visual effect, because this is like one of the few scenes I actually do enjoy what they're doing. Like, yes, this is so cool Jedi witch shit, you know? Give us more of this, please. So, Maya comes on up, and Anastasia says, are you, by swearing upon my death, or by swearing even if I die, you will protect our secrets? And Maya says, oh, absolutely, yes. Okay, here is your tattoo! And Anastasia has this really badass center tattoo. The tattoo Meg has is slightly adjacent above her eyebrow, which her hair covers. By the way, the hairdo both twins have, older versions of themselves still have the same hairdo. Yeah, they totally got over their trauma of what the events is about to happen in this episode. They totally did. That's sarcasm for those of you who actually don't know what sarcasm is. I only say that because one of my best friends actually doesn't understand sarcasm. So, with that being said, she does the whole routine again, and then she looks to Osha and says, as she looks at Osha, Anastasia says, "Upon my death, are you ready to protect the secrets of our coven?" Osha's like, really trying to get the hell on out of there. Like, everything that this poor girl has been trying to do is saying, "Get me out of here. I am uncomfortable," which made me and probably the rest of the audience like, "What the hell are you doing? Come on." You almost had a good scene here. You almost had a good opportunity to show why the witches hate the Jedi and why they could be more compassionate than the Jedi. But no. A scared little girl shaking like a leaf on a very log, gone away as the log is going down the waterfall. Oh yeah, no, she's going to be a great candidate for a more powerful version of what we're trying to show her. Totally great. Yeah, that end is going to be coming up sooner as more and more as I describe this. You see why some Star Wars fans are starting to have issues with this episode. But the ceremony, thankfully, or not, no, thankfully actually, the more I think about this, gets interrupted as one of the witches comes up. "Mother Anastasia, they're here! The Jedi are here! They just sliced the platform." Here's the thing with that phrase. They just sliced the platform. This could be one of two things. And I thought of them instantly when I heard that. Slicing, for those unfamiliar to Star Wars, is mostly used as a term for hacking into. So it's like, alright, so they know Jedi are here. They know Jedi have hacked into their base and are about to go to the door. Now, naturally, some of them start reaching for their weapons. Okay, reasonable reaction. But Mother Anastasia is like, wait, you know what? Hold on, let's just hide the kids, let's just meet them, we're not going to fight them. Now again, I'm thinking at this point, this is a good point of the episodes for the episode to say to us, okay, now we as a show are going to tell you, the audience, why witches and Jedi do not get along at all more. Okay, cool, that's what I was expecting. So a younger version of the 4 Jedi that the assassin in the main show, May, is trying to kill, come on in. And the first Jedi Master walks up, says, "Hey, greetings, yo. We didn't realize you guys were here. Sorry, we're not trying. We all come in peace. Hi, how's it going?" The witches are like, "Yeah, no, we know what's up. What are you doing here, man?" The Jedi's like, okay. We are worried you are teaching children your dark ways." And Republic Law says, the witches counter, excuse you, this planet ain't in your republic. So what are you actually doing here? We are worried, what we're trying to say as Jedi, we are worried that you're teaching your version of the Force to children. And we know children are here. There are no children here, what are you talking about? Seriously, get out of here. Now, one of the Jedi, a Wookiee, just kind of leans around, does a I can't do a Wookiee noise to save my life. I apologize, fellow Wookiee fans. I think I need to focus just on Mortal Throat, but that'll be an acting technique for maybe a cool monologue later. My bad acting aside, back to the show. Sure enough, Osha, seeing the Jedi just walk on in, kind of goes, "Oh, cool, new people, let's go. No. And Mia's like, "No, come back here. They told us to hide. What are you doing? Oh, come on, look at their robes. Look how they're carrying the sabers. Isn't it cool?" So sure enough, when the main Jedi lead master asks, "Come on out, it's okay, we won't bite," Osha comes on out pretty fast, actually. Not in the whole little scared little girl that was about to get the whole witch blessing on her. More like, oh cool, new candy shop levels of energy. Okay, well, maybe not cool new candy shop, more like, oh, cool new friend, or a possible savior to get me the hell out of here, is probably what she was thinking. And they see Osha, and Master Soul, who... Master Soul is one of the few characters I actually have high hopes for in saving this show. Because he'll say a line later on that kind of inspired me more to try to continue on reviewing this series. He's like, oh, Osha, hi, I'm Master Soul, nice to meet you. And as he goes forward to Osha, the rest of the witches get a lot more hesitant and a lot more argh. And especially when May comes forward, when Osha's asked, can we meet your sister? And then Soul says to both sisters, I could see great potential in both of you becoming Jedi. Would you like to try to test to become Jedi? And Soul does a smart thing here to de-escalate things by taking his lightsaber, not activating it in defense, but more giving it for Osha to hold on to. Now, I'm giving points right here, because some of the background noise about the production of the show, Master Soul was modeled heavily after Qui-Gon, which it does show. And I could see Qui-Gon doing that in terms of, trying to de-escalate things, especially when it involves kids. Like, oh, your first time meeting a Jedi. Okay, here's to show you how we're not bad guys. Here, hold my lightsaber. See? I am in charge of it. So it's your free will. You're cool, So, again, I'm going to give points right there to the show. So, the Jedi look at the witches and be like, okay, so... we do have the right still, as Jedi, to test potential Force-sensitive people to maybe help train them. With your permission. The witches are like, oh, absolutely hell no, get on out of here. As a matter of fact, so much of a hell no, get on out of here. Anastasia just kind of turns one of the Jedi into a catatonic state by seeing one of the Jedi. His eyes kind of glaze over, going black, and he kneels to the ground. He's doing this kind of thing, which, okay, that did give me shivers. And it's like, yeah, no, that Jedi, that's your time to get the hell on out, Again, good little points to the show for writing how serious the witches are. As that happens, Osha speaks up, finally. And not the quiet stage fright little kid. And we're like, hey, Mom, no, what are you doing? Stop. I want to show him what you've learned, what you've taught us. I want to try to test out being a Jedi. This actually surprises both of, excuse me for a moment. Just got to double check a thing. Okay, we cool right there. So, where was I? That's what I was. With that, there's a little bit of hesitation between the witches and the Jedi. And the witches are like, okay. So, Osha wants to test. You sure about this, Osha? Yeah, no, I'm serious about this. Fine, Jedi. Our scouts will bring the kids to your spot at noon tomorrow. And then the next scene is that night. Maya and Osha are in front of their mother and the rest of the witches. Osha is still saying, no, I actually want to do this. Come on, give me a chance, Mom. It could actually be something that I might be able to use and need. It could actually help us. Maya is absolutely dead against it. They're Jedi. Why are we doing this? This is horrible. This is a bad idea. And then the mother, hearing both of their sides, like, okay, look. Why are you doing this, Osha? Because I don't want to be a witch. Now, with that being said, Anastasia says to the daughters, all right, you know what? Things are really tense right now, kids. Go to your room. I'm going to talk with the rest of the witches about what's going on here. And so they have a debate, and the debate essentially boils down to telling both twins, in order for them to stay there, they have to lie in their test. And also, a very, very interesting back and forth. Anastasia and Coral kind of get heated in this debate. Coral's like, no, absolutely not. This is a bad idea. There are 4 of them. There are a lot more of us. We can easily just take them out right now, all right? And who's going to miss 4 Jedi? Yeah, Anastasia brings up, okay, first of all, they're Jedi from the Republic, and anyone their blood touches us, the Republic will be here, which is what we've been trying to avoid this entire time. Coral then drops a bomb. Well, I carried them. Therefore, they should not be doing this test. Here's the next bomb drop. Anastasia says, well, I created them. I think they should. Now, those 2 bombs, with how loaded they are, with how loaded that little back and forth is, to those who do not know much about lore, about Anakin Skywalker, I'm going to help you out here. Anakin Skywalker is a product of the Force reacting to projects that Palpatine and his master, Plagueis, were doing in trying to control life and death. The Force essentially said, nah, man, no, I'm going to show you how to do this. Boom, Anakin Skywalker. Now, when this was revealed in Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, first of all, I was too young to realize how the rest of the adults took it, because born in the 90s, okay, if something came out, I only knew how good or bad it was, depending on how my dad and his friends talked about it. I didn't really connect the dots, but I learned this as I grew up older and, watching Clone Wars, and I admit I'm more of a Clone Wars era fan than the original, but they're both still good little spots in my heart. This show is essentially trying to say Anakin had sisters. And that's what the show is about. This show is about Anakin's sisters. That's why these 2 kids aren't just random things that just popped out of nowhere. Because there is no father. And they come full of witches. But 2 twins showed up via the gift of life. So the entire society of women were able to find a way to create and birth 2 our girls. Is that far-fetched in a galaxy so far away and a long time ago where there are aliens, blasters, starships, laser weapons, and droids that speak from regular common to better English than most of us residents to just going beep boop, beep boop, beep boop? I want to say yes and I want to say no. Is that outlandish? No, because it is the realm of fantasy of, yeah, you know what? The Force is acting in a strange and mysterious way, and if the Force is one magic system, and the witches kind of do an offshoot of that magic system, they're going to be doing stuff that Jedi and Sith don't usually do. That's where I could see an argument for it. Here, however, is where that argument falls apart. Okay, so you mean to tell me that, basically a witch cult were able to birth 2 daughters, and there's not a single man in there? No, there's... Correct. So you mean to tell me that the Force has a dick now? Is that what you're saying? Or these witches manipulated the Force to let the big boss have a dick? That's what you're saying. Well, we're not exactly saying it like that. No, that's what you're heavily implying, which... If that's what you're heavily implying, Star Wars, Acolyte, there are better ways to do that without pissing off the fans. Okay? The fans aren't pissed off that a character... what's under a character's drawers. Okay? Us fans are pissed off about how bad the execution could actually be in terms of trying to describe it, you know? Like, okay, did the witches find a way to make hermaphrodites? And is it clearly visible? And is there evidence of this leading up to this scene? If there is, cool. You had plenty of time and money and opportunity to do that. But this is episode 3 we're in, okay? You could have done a little hint here and there, but nothing in the current lore. And yes, I am referring to the Disney main timeline lore, by the way. I haven't even talked about the legends that you decided to decanonize when Disney took over. Nothing is really connecting to that. That's why us fans are pissed off right now. It's the execution of trying to start something new. Which, look, the show wants to do something new. Okay, cool. Can it give us a good landing of something new? No? Of course we're going to be upset. Back to the episode. Let my engine cool down a little bit. The next day, Mother Anastasia is talking to both twins. And she's essentially saying, okay, so this isn't this whole thing between us and Jedi. It's not a matter of good or evil. It's a matter of who is in control of what force and who says it is. And this seems to be the main argument she's trying to get. The main argument I took away from her character, from Anastasia, is the witches exist because they are the group that counters the Jedi and the Sith in terms of saying, yo, the Force isn't just Jedi and Sith related. It could be ours as well. And here's our version of it. That's why you Jedi and you Sith get too scared and too claustrophobic and turn different colors when we start doing stuff better than you. If that's what the show is trying to do, again, this argument just keeps on falling flat because every opportunity up till now in this episode and in this series to actually, prop the witches up, they have either blatantly ignored, not thought about, or just did one of the more reoccurring lore drop styles I'm starting to see more and more from Disney Star Wars in our series, which is, so you got a couple questions, all right? Here's my answer. Here's the answer. Deal with it. But what about this? Deal with it. I'm trying to deal with it, but you're not answering questions. This is the answer, dealing it with moving on. Why are we moving on? Because we got 8 episodes, but we have a lot more money, and we gotta cut through this proper. You have more money than the rest of the shows, yes. But you only have 8 episodes, yes. There's a lot. There's a lot of math that needs to be answered, and I don't got the crayons or pens or whiteboard markers or paper to even start at that. Well, don't worry. Here's your answer. Here's the show. Just sit down and enjoy. That's what the show feels like when it's trying to explain these lore drops. You see more of the problem that we fans are having with this show. Yes. This is why I gave that little warning and that slight little speech ahead of why us fans are annoyed. Okay? To the test. Right. So they get to the Jedi ship, and on the way to, Maya looks at Osha and basically bullies her into promising that she's going to lie during the test. May is first called on in, and we really don't get to see how May's test goes. There's a lot of money right now on there's going to be another flashback episode more focused on May's point of view during this whole little event, that could save this episode. That could save this show. I'm not holding my breath for that now. But if I am pleasantly surprised and if I'm eating my words, I'll be one of the first to say, yo, I was wrong about this, okay? Because I am human. So, we then see Osha's test. Now, similar to episode 1, Osha is given a little test of, okay, guess the picture on the little holometer the Jedi is holding. After her first 2 guesses, she's like, wait, no, that wasn't the correct answer. And then Jedi Master Soul asks Osha, okay, did somebody tell you, Osha, to lie through this test? And Osha admits it, yeah. She was told to lie through this test, but she still wants to become a Jedi. then Osha says something that, again, it kind of inspired me to keep going through this series of reviews. And also, it just put some more affirmation to be like, you know what? The actors in this show, they are really trying to nail Star Wars. And they're trying their best with what they're given. The line is, all right, so if you really want this, then you gotta be brave enough to tell the truth. I'm going to repeat that again. You gotta be, if you want this, if you really want this, you gotta be brave enough to tell the truth. To a Star Wars fan who is still confused and angry, trying to figure out if they still want to be a Star Wars fan, say your truth. Speak your mind. It's okay. Alright? This is something you love. Defend it. Alright? If it helped you out, like it's helped me and others, don't be afraid to defend it, man. Or girl. It's a blanket that you love. You hate seeing holes ripped in it, just like me. It's okay. I get it. I'm angry too, but I'm not going to give up on Star Wars because we all know Star Wars has been better. After that little test, what happens next is May pretty much figures out right away in kind of a instinctual sibling look as Osha comes on down, and May, in her happiness, just kind of walks on over to Osha, licks her up and down. Osha's eyes glued to the ground. And then we see May's face go from, oh, how's it go? You idiot. And then she storms on off. We cut to the twins talking to their mother and the rest of the witches. May then tells the witches and their mother, Osha broke the promise. She didn't lie, she told the truth. And Osha actually defends herself now. And I'm giving points right here because I have a rule when it comes to kids acting. I don't critique, all right? Because the world of kids actors is absolutely hell. So when they're up there and they're doing their best, you gotta applaud that. When they're trying to work with a shit script and they know it's a shit script, but they gotta put on a good face, you gotta know that. You gotta give them a break. So you can tell it actually takes a lot for her to say this because this is a hard call out moment, and I don't know about you watching this at home, but hard call out moments, some may think it's easier to do it when you're a kid because you're a lot more innocent, you're a lot more go get him, let's go energy. But as you get older, you gotta be really careful which battles you pick without looking like the biggest asshole in the room or the biggest child in the room, depending on what the call out moment is. So props to this character and props to this actress and props to the show writers of, letting her be defiant and having a backbone and saying, no, I did what I thought was right. I did this for me, not for you, May. I'm getting tired of sharing things with you. I don't want to be a witch. I want to be a Jedi. I want to get off this place. I want to go see the stars. May does not handle this well. As a matter of fact, she starts throwing a tantrum. Mother Anastasia tells May to go take a walk with Mother Coral. I almost said Mother Zabrak. Mother Coral. Mother Coral picks her up as May's like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh! Ah! And, which, again, me and the rest, and some of the internet is expecting in our flashback episode explaining what happened with May during that part. Now, when it came to just Osha and Anastasia talking to each other, it's actually one of my highlights of this whole episode. Half on an acting part, but half on a writing part. So, Mama Anastasia's like, alright, so you follow your heart, you did what you thought was the right thing. that's good, but you realize you won't be able to see me if you've actually passed. Ever again. And I'm your mother. But I don't want to be a witch. Okay. Then you got to not let fear make this decision. I want to be a Jedi. Again, even though Osha is warned by her own mother that they will never see each other again, which, I don't care who you are, you ask any mother you know, if they're in that situation, they'll handle that. That'll be an easy conversation for them. I can guarantee you, the answer is probably going to be no. And it shows in the actress's face as she hears the actual confirmation. Osha wants to be a Jedi, damn it. She wants to get off planet. There's a split second scene where you see kind of a hard, it's a hard facial movement, but it's basically a almost, you can see her doing her damnedest not to cry in front of her daughter because, well, let's face it, every parent does not want to cry in front of their kids, unless they're laughing, crying at a goofy little joke or something similar to that. So we see that little motherly instinct kind of start to kick in, but she's a leader. She's in front of the whole coven. She has to be mature. She has to be the stone that everybody relies on. A single tear drops from Anastasia as she brings her daughter in for a hug. Again, if I'm getting emotional, it's kind of my favorite scenes, and that's why I really hope all the actors and actresses that were involved in this, they did their damnedest with what they were given. So if any of my fellow Star Wars fans that want to throw stones and shoot blasters at at the Acolyte, don't go hard on the actors and actresses. So, and that kind of near hard cry emotion that the actress of Anastasia almost got into, Osha's actress also does a good moment of, the daughter is trying not to cry in front of mom because no kid wants to see the parent cry. So, there is this good little touching moment between the two. Anastasia then says, I need to talk with the others about this decision, and I'll keep your wishes in mind. Go to your room. Osha just says, love you, mommy. Okay. Then goes to her room. And unfortunately, that's as good as the episode gets. Because the rest of this, I'm going to get loud. I'm going to get in. I'm going to try to be constructive, but I am not going to be happy describing what happens in the rest of this episode. So, we see Osha in her room. She's kind of packing her things, and she's taking one last look at the little sketchbook that she had. May comes on in, charging on in. I can't let you do this. You're going to be stuck here. You're going to be stuck here. Osha's like, well, you're going to have to get over it, all right? This is what I want, not what you want. I'm getting tired of you. Oh, yeah? I'm going to stop you. I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen. How are you going to do that? Huh? Simple. I'm going to kill you. And this actually does shock Osha. And it did kind of shock me with how much of the Kool-Aid Sorry, I almost said a D&D character that I play in another campaign. How much of the Kool-Aid May has been drinking. She steals Osha's sketchbook, locks her in the room. Which is weird because the lock is on the outside of the room. To both of and it's a room that both of them share. Why place a lock on the outside of a child's room? Not on the inside, but okay. That I don't understand that logic. That's a small little negative, but she essentially traps Osha in the room, starts a fire after looking through a couple of pages with the sketchbook. And how the fire actually starts, we know the sketchbook was part of it, but then it somehow goes from just a small little campfire to Jesus Christ, okay, that's a bonfire and a half, and that is torching the door and reaching the ceiling. And what is Osha doing? She is trying to cry for help. She goes to the big main window they have in their room, calls for the mother to help. Nothing happens. She goes to a door. She basically hot wires it to open. Why you need a hot wire emergency door open? A little technical flaw that the building designers didn't even, or the residents of the building didn't even think of, or they want to add attention to the room. The escape could have been done better because we see very limited of how the fire spreads and actually destroys the place, like we're led to believe in the previous episodes. Now, when it comes to what happens next, again, everything's on OSHA's perspective. So, I am really hoping that we're going to get another flashback episode, if not in the following episode, then maybe a couple episodes later, showing Maya's side of the events. The door opens. There's a little tunnel she goes through, and as she's going through the tunnel, there's a little skyway window that she passes under, and we hear screaming, we hear a lot of loud noise, and something falling down. But again, OSHA's just looking up and still trying to go through the little tunnel that she's in through this. So we don't, again, it's good to add that mystery, but with the show, I know the answer is either going to be disappointing, insulting, or insultingly disappointing. I want it to be a good answer. Again, we just got 8 episodes. This is episode 3, but I'm not expecting a good answer with how ham-fisted they are with answering the questions that it brings up. Now, we then see OSHA go to a bridge with kind of a it used to be together, obviously, but then there's this hole in it, and there really is no explanation why there's a hole in it, except for there was a loud crash we heard when she was in the tunnel, so that crash could have either been that bridge having a hole ripped into it or something else. And as she goes onto the bridge, on the other side of the room, there's May. Both of them call each other out, obviously scared out of their minds because, the place is burning down and all that. And they get to each side of the bridge. OSHA says, What did you do? Maya. What did I do? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? Now, the phrase, what did you do, between these two, it could be read in a lot of different ways. May, what did you do, as in, what did you do to force me into this situation May actually might believe. OSHA, what did you do, as in, seriously, why are you doing this? What happened? What happened to the sister I thought I knew? I'm kind of expecting that line in a later episode, or at least to be dropped between the two sisters in this episode. But again, I'm feeling hopeful for this episode in this series, which I probably should stop being. But it gets better. It gets so much better. We see Sol come around the corner. He's calling out both of the girls' names. Osha May! Osha May! And OSHA is trying to tell May, hey, you jump over to my side. May, no, you jump over to my side. And then the bridge kind of start to give way. And then as literally another platform right by the bridges, almost a forced jump away, there is our boy, Master Sol. Or it was probably before he became Master, but more Jedi Knight Sol. Anyway, Sol's like, May, OSHA, come over here, I could get ya. And then, as both bridges give way, OSHA sees May go down. Then her bridge goes down. She does reach for the edge, and even though we see our boy, Master Sol, use the Force to catch people in the previous 2 episodes, apparently for some reason he doesn't. No, he physically runs up to the ledge. He was able to grab OSHA's hand, but we see May just kind of fall down. And then off-screen fall down, too. Which doesn't really help what happened next to her. So Sol grabs OSHA, helps him up, and starts trying to get OSHA out of the temple. Now, first room that we see the two walk into is the main meeting room that the witches and their mother were in. and the bodies are strewn all over the room. Here's a problem with this bit here. Yes, you've probably seen it frozen in our YouTube essays and breakdowns of this episode. In this one shot, it does a really bad job of showing why they're all knocked out. They look like they're all put to sleep or something similar, because there aren't any blaster marks around. There isn't any lightsaber stab wounds or something like that. It's just a bunch of bodies moved around kind of this way and that along the stairs that they're on. Not really given any explanation. But Osha sees that, she gets a little nervous and scared, and then Soul's trying to, come on, we gotta go, this place is falling apart. And then the next room, Osha sees her mother's body. Is there any wounds or anything on the mother's body indicating how or what killed her? No. Nothing. Maybe a little dirt here and there, and some of the stuff in the room crumbling on down around them, but no any hard lightsaber wound signs or stuff like that. Again, I am hoping for a flashback episode, a second version of the flashback episode from May's perspective to answer what happened, or maybe Soul's perspective, or Tobin, the Jedi that decided to kill himself over what happened. But then again, here I am trying to give hope for a show that's falling apart and turning into a train wreck. We see Soul and May. No, not Soul and May. Soul and Osha essentially leave the temple, and as the camera shoots out, the fire in the building that's in between two mountains, it doesn't look big enough to actually tear the place down, which is heavily implied in the first episode, in their whole little vision moment between when Osha realized, no, May is actually alive and stuff. So, that could either be a oversight that the writers and the special effects team didn't think about, or something else. But just the visual of that, it's like there is like one fire at the top corner, there's one fire at the main bottom corner, there's like two more fires in the windows overlooking the gorge, but no massive holes or crumbling walls, almost Lord of the Rings style, in a siege or something like that. So that's kind of a hard negative, and that kind of does rob the whole tension of this. Like, you know what, with how small those fires are, which basically looks like a bunch of campfires and maybe one actual fire, the place is easily salvageable. Unless somehow these witches didn't realize and think of a water system to stop fires from happening. Which, in Star Wars, that could actually be a logical answer, because when the witches probably moved into this place, they saw all this stuff and it's like, yeah, we don't need to worry about any fire contingency plans. Look, if a bunch of teddy bears can knock out a bunch of highly trained soldiers in a very, very important and climactic battle in the middle of a civil war, that could also happen. Yes, there's several decades between two events, but Star Wars does make mistakes. As much as we love to make it perfect, there are many warts on the underbelly. Now, we then cut to Osha and Soul on the Jedi ship. Osha, she's not looking good. She has the little breathing mask on her. She takes it off. She's like, okay, what happened? What happened to everybody? And Soul is crushed. He is doing his damnedest not to be bawling in front of her, but you could tell whatever we didn't see, it was traumatic to him as he struggles not to cry in front of her, saying, we can't go back. Your whole family's dead. Your sister started a fire, killed everybody, and your sister's dead too. You're on your way to Coruscant right now, and if you want, you can become my student, and I will train you. There's kind of, if the fire was shown more as a fire, this whole little scene would have been a lot more tragic and kind of more of the gut-punching thing. But it's not. And the last scene of this whole episode is May showing up by the bunta tree, barely looking roughed up, and she's kind of looking scared, and she's like, "Oh, Sha," and that's the episode. Now, I realize by the time this uploads, episode 4 will be out. I have not seen episode 4. I'm not hearing good things about episode 4. But, as a fan of something I love, like Star Wars, it's my responsibility to call out when Star Wars is messing up. And say, Star Wars, come on. You can do better. The last episode I made, I titled it, A Possible Course Correction. Well, in the theme of course correction, it did correct. It corrected so hard it forgot what road it was on and somehow ended up on a ditch, which ended up on a railway system, which somehow got hit by a train. That's where the Acolyte is right now. And it sucks saying that because there's a lot of hype leading up to this. There's a lot of good potential that this could have become. But here we are. We are here stuck with an episode that essentially has given two characters a very hard and very roughly defined connection to Anakin Skywalker. You know, the main guy who saved the Star Wars universe. Until Rey showed up. But that's for another time and for a better video. And others have said what's wrong with that trilogy. Well, I mean others, I mean people who are better than me. Yeah. The last episode, I remember giving it a 3.5 out of 5. 5 being, drop everything now, go get Disney Plus, pop on some popcorn, grab your favorite drink, bring your bros over, you know, have a good time. 1 being, don't waste your money, don't waste your time, it is insulting. Here's the problem with this episode. This will be the first 1 out of 5 I'm ranking. And it's because of everything I just got done talking about. What little few hopes that it could have easily gotten back up to a 2, or maybe 3.5, you know, to make me actually look forward to episode 4. With how ham-fisted and how hard they really don't answer questions, they actually bring up more questions. And the questions that they do answer, they don't give it in the answer of, here's the answer. Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? And if the character asks a little bit more questions to the answer, there is some more further depth in this answer, which, you know, we've seen Star Wars do with midichlorians. The midichlorians are a little bit clunky, but the midichlorians thing works. However, this episode seems to be a really big fan of the writing style of, oh, you got a question? Here's your answer, deal with it. Oh, you have any questions? No, that's the answer, deal with it. If you are going to watch this series, I would recommend it if you think you're writing a story and you're just hit with such a hard roadblock, you're like, oh, this story is hopeless. Nobody's going to read it. Is it as bad as The Acolyte? Watch The Acolyte. Compare notes. Are you making the same mistakes that The Acolyte is? If you are, well, the cool part is about drafts, you can easily fix drafts. And how this is written, it feels like it was written in one draft. And it shows painfully. And if that's the actual reason of how bad this writing is and how clunky it is, that explains way too much. Like, this whole show is a great masterclass on how not to write anything at all. As a matter of fact, if anything, it is a great testament to, unfortunately, I'm going to have to, as much as I hate to throw negatives at the writing team, which this whole series I'm making is focused more on the writing of the show and the execution of how it works out, I'm going to have to. The show and Leslie Headley, the director, made a really big kind of promotional tour of saying, hey, we made sure that nobody that wrote the show actually knew what Star Wars was walking on in, which could be good, you know? It could be levels of good like Andor, you know? Let writers actually stew on it, you know? Let the story actually breathe and grow and answer questions that come on up and not answer everything, you know? Because you don't want to give all the cards away, you know? You want to give some little mystery, and that's why Andor is considered a fine taste of wine. Well, this, however, don't give it to a dog to eat. Please, for the love of God, okay? If you like dogs, don't let the dog eat this dish, okay? 1 out of 5. don't watch this show unless you really want to double check how bad of a writer you are. Is what you're writing, is what you're presenting worse than Acolyte? If the answer is yes, good news, man or girl, you can fix it. You know how to fix it. Don't make those mistakes, please, for whatever you're writing about, okay? For the writers that are actually on this project, that if for some unknown gray rabbit chance of a hair and they actually see this video, either just do me a favor. Just do me a favor. If you touch Star Wars again, remember the flag. Remember the errors that you are making, and make sure not to make them again. Or don't touch Star Wars for a good long time. Okay? Do something more you. Do something you feel more creative in. Do something you actually want to back up and be proud and beat your chest on. It's like, yeah, that's that badass TV show. Yeah, your boy wrote it, you know? Do something like that. This isn't it right now for Star Wars, okay? This is not, no. Star Wars deserves better than this, and you also deserve better than this, alright? And Leslie Headley, the director of this show, if, again, for some gray hair or rabbit's chance of a pig's ass that you're watching this, own up to how bad this show is. Don't punch down on the fans. The fans are the main reason you are lucky enough to have the responsibility, which that's what it is, to be given a lot of money to make this show, to be given a team of writers to write this show, to be given a great selection of actors to perform in this show. The army and the crew that you've recruited to make this show possible. If you make the mistake, don't punch down to the fans. This is Steve Up 9. Signing off. Star Wars isn't dead. Alright? Get that out of your head. It's alive. It is angry. It is very angry right now. But it is not dead. If Star Trek can survive Nemesis, if 40K can survive its plethora of retcons, if Pokemon can survive for this long, if Harry Potter could still somehow immediately exist after J.K. Rowling stopped writing, Star Wars will survive this. It's just really rough right now.